Jaylen Brown had no idea that taking a walk through downtown Boston would lead to one of the most powerful confrontations of his career. What started as a peaceful afternoon stroll would become a viral moment that exposed the ugliest side of discrimination and the most beautiful side of standing up for what's right. Before we continue this incredible story, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales of justice and protection of the innocent. Saturday afternoon, 2:45 p.m. Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown walked down Newbury Street wearing a simple black hoodie, dark jeans, and white sneakers. The autumn sun painted golden streaks across the busy sidewalk as shoppers moved between boutiques and cafes. Street musicians played soft melodies while tourists snapped photos of the historic brownstone buildings. The atmosphere was peaceful and quintessentially Boston, a perfect day for the Harvard graduate to clear his mind after a tough week of games. Brown often used these walks to think about his community work and education initiatives. As he approached the corner of Newbury and Berkeley Street, Brown heard a commotion that made him stop in his tracks. "Get away from here! You don't belong on this street!" came a sharp, angry voice that cut through the afternoon calm. Brown turned to see a well-dressed, older white woman with perfectly styled blonde hair and an expensive cream-colored coat standing over a small figure near a folding table. The woman's pale complexion was flushed with anger as she gestured aggressively. The small figure was Zara Johnson, an 8-year-old black girl wearing a bright yellow Girl Scout uniform with merit badges proudly displayed across her chest. She stood behind a small folding table covered with boxes of cookies, her large brown eyes wide with confusion and fear. Her natural hair was styled in colorful beads that caught the sunlight. "I'm just selling cookies for my troop," Zara said in a small, trembling voice, her hands gripping the edge of her table for support. The angry woman was Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General, her designer outfit and authoritative bearing commanding attention from passing pedestrians. Her very pale skin contrasted sharply with her aggressive red lipstick as she continued her verbal assault. "These streets aren't for your kind of business," Bondi sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. "There are proper places for this type of activity." Several passers-by, including Maria Santos, a young Latina mother pushing a stroller, and David Kim, an Asian businessman in a tailored suit, stopped to watch the disturbing scene unfold. Maria immediately pulled out her phone, sensing something terrible was happening. What happened in the next few minutes would not only shock everyone on that busy Boston street, but create a moment that would be remembered as a defining stand against bullying and discrimination. The confrontation on Newbury Street escalated quickly as Pam Bondi, the former Florida Attorney General with perfectly styled blonde hair and very pale complexion, continued her aggressive assault on 8-year-old Zara Johnson. Bondi's expensive cream coat and designer heels spoke of privilege, but her words revealed something much uglier. "Little girls like you should be supervised," Bondi declared, her red lipstick practically snarling as she loomed over the tiny Girl Scout in her bright yellow uniform. "Where are your parents? Don't they teach you proper behavior?" Zara Johnson, barely reaching Bondi's waist, even standing behind her cookie table, clutched her order pad with trembling hands. Her colorful hair beads caught the sunlight as she tried to maintain her composure despite the intimidation. "My mama said I could sell cookies here," Zara replied bravely, her voice small but determined. "I'm trying to earn money for my troop's camping trip." Pam Bondi's very pale face flushed deeper with indignation. "Your mama should teach you that not everyone wants to be bothered by door-to-door sales. This is a respectable shopping district, not some neighborhood marketplace." Maria Santos, the young Latina mother with her stroller, couldn't hide her disgust as she discreetly started live streaming on Instagram. "You guys are not going to believe what I'm witnessing," she whispered to her followers. "A grown woman is attacking a little girl selling Girl Scout cookies." David Kim, the Asian businessman in his expensive suit, shook his head in disbelief. "This is completely inappropriate," he muttered to another bystander, his own phone now recording the incident. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown stood frozen across the street, his athletic frame tense under his black hoodie. The Harvard-educated NBA star watched in growing anger as a powerful political figure bullied a child who reminded him of his own little sister at that age. Bondi continued her verbal assault, pointing her manicured finger at the small table of cookies. These unauthorized vendors create problems for legitimate businesses. Someone needs to call security. Little Zara's eyes began to fill with tears as she looked around for help. Her yellow Girl Scout uniform, so bright and hopeful moments before, now seemed to make her an even bigger target for Bondi's cruelty. The live stream now has 3,000 viewers, Maria whispered to her camera, as more people stopped to watch the shocking scene. What happened next would transform this moment of cruelty into something that would be talked about across the nation. As Pam Bondi's verbal assault on 8-year-old Zara Johnson intensified, Jaylen Brown could no longer stand by and watch. The Boston Celtics star in his black hoodie and jeans crossed the street with determined strides, his athletic frame moving with the same purpose he showed on the basketball court. Bondi, her blonde hair perfectly styled and very pale complexion, now flushed with self-righteous anger, continued towering over the tiny Girl Scout in her bright yellow uniform. "Someone needs to remove this disturbance from our shopping district," she declared to anyone within earshot. Little Zara Johnson, her colorful hair beads catching the afternoon light, wiped away tears with the back of her small hand while trying to protect her cookie boxes. Her merit badges seemed to mock the situation. Here was a child learning entrepreneurship and community service, being attacked by someone who should have been supporting youth development. "Excuse me," Jaylen Brown's deep voice cut through the tension as he approached the confrontation. His calm but commanding presence immediately drew the attention of everyone gathered around. Pam Bondi turned toward him, initially irritated by the interruption. Her designer cream coat and expensive jewelry suggested she was used to being obeyed, not questioned. "This doesn't concern you," she snapped, her red lipstick emphasizing her sneer. "It concerns me when I see a grown woman attacking a child," Brown replied, his Harvard education evident in his articulate response. "Especially a child who's doing exactly what we should encourage, working hard and contributing to her community." Maria Santos, the Latina mother live streaming the incident, watched her viewer count explode to 15,000 as word spread across social media. "Oh my God, that's Jaylen Brown from the Celtics," she whispered to her followers. "This just got very real." David Kim, the businessman recording everything, nodded in recognition. The hashtag #Newbury Street Shame began trending as viewers shared the stream across platforms. Bondi's expression changed as she recognized the NBA star, but her arrogance remained intact. "I don't care who you are. This child is operating without proper permits on private property." Brown knelt down to Zara's eye level, his gentle smile immediately calming the frightened girl. "Hey there, what's your name?" he asked softly. "Zara," she whispered, still clutching her order pad. "I'm selling cookies to help my troop go camping." "Those sound like some amazing cookies," Brown said, his voice filled with warmth and respect. "And you're doing such important work for your community." The contrast was stark. A professional athlete treating the child with dignity while a former government official tried to intimidate her. What happened next would send shockwaves through social media and beyond. Jaylen Brown's protective stance over 8-year-old Zara Johnson sent a clear message to everyone on Newbury Street, especially Pam Bondi. The former Florida Attorney General, with her perfectly styled blonde hair and very pale complexion, suddenly found herself facing a Harvard-educated NBA star who wasn't backing down. "You know what, Zara?" Brown said, still kneeling beside the little Girl Scout in her bright yellow uniform. "I think you're exactly where you belong. This is America, where hardworking young people like you should be celebrated, not attacked." He stood to his full height, his athletic frame now towering over Bondi. "Ma'am, I don't know who you think you are, but attacking a child selling Girl Scout cookies is about as un-American as it gets." Pam Bondi's designer cream coat seemed to shrink around her as she realized the situation had completely turned against her. Her red lipstick couldn't hide the fact that she was now facing public humiliation instead of intimidating a small child. "I am Pam Bondi," she declared, as if her name should command respect. "Former Attorney General of Florida. I know what's legal and what isn't." Brown's expression hardened. "And I'm Jaylen Brown, and I know what's right and what's wrong. Using your position to bully a child is wrong, no matter what title you hold." Maria Santos's Instagram livestream had exploded to 50,000 viewers as the confrontation reached its peak. Comments flooded in. "Protect that baby." "Jaylen Brown is a hero." "Pam Bondi should be ashamed." David Kim continued recording as other bystanders joined the circle, many now recognizing both the NBA star and the controversial political figure. The crowd's sympathy was clearly with little Zara and her defender. "This child is learning entrepreneurship, community service, and hard work," Brown continued, his voice carrying the authority of his education and platform. "While you're teaching her that powerful people can use their positions to hurt those who can't fight back." Zara looked up at Brown with wonder and gratitude, her tears drying as she realized she had a protector. Her small hand reached out to touch his arm, as if to make sure he was real. Bondi's face flushed deeper as she realized she was losing this battle badly. "You don't understand the complexities of municipal regulations," she stammered. "I understand the complexities of being a decent human being," Brown shot back, "and you're failing that test spectacularly." What the NBA star did next would create a moment that would be shared millions of times and remembered as a perfect example of using privilege to protect the vulnerable. Jaylen Brown reached into his wallet and pulled out several $100 bills, his protective stance never wavering as he looked down at little Zara Johnson in her bright yellow Girl Scout uniform. The 8-year-old's eyes widened as she witnessed something she would never forget. "Zara, I'd like to buy your entire inventory," Brown announced, his voice carrying across the now large crowd gathered on Newbury Street. "Every single box of cookies." Pam Bondi, her blonde hair no longer perfect and her very pale complexion now red with embarrassment, stood frozen as the situation completely reversed. Her expensive cream coat and designer accessories couldn't protect her from the public humiliation she had brought upon herself. "But sir, that's like a lot of cookies," little Zara said, her voice filled with awe as she tried to count the money Brown was handing her. "It's a lot of heart and hard work," Brown replied, gently helping her count, "and that deserves to be rewarded." Maria Santos's Instagram livestream had reached 75,000 viewers, with the hashtag #ProtectZara trending nationally. Comments poured in praising Brown's response and condemning Bondi's behavior toward the child. But Brown wasn't finished. He turned to address the crowd that had gathered, his Harvard education and NBA platform giving weight to every word. "This little girl represents the best of America," he declared, one hand protectively on Zara's shoulder. "She's working hard, helping her community, and learning valuable life lessons. Anyone who tries to tear that down is showing us who they really are." David Kim, still recording, captured the moment as other bystanders began approaching Zara's table, inspired by Brown's example. "I'll take 5 boxes," called out an elderly woman. 10 boxes here," added a college student. Pam Bondi began backing away from the scene, realizing that her attempt to intimidate a child had backfired spectacularly. Several people in the crowd were now recording her retreat, ensuring her behavior would be documented and shared. The video went viral within 2 hours, Maria later posted. By the end of the day, Zara had sold out completely and raised enough money for her entire troop's camping trip, plus new uniforms for underprivileged Girl Scouts in Boston. Brown spent another 20 minutes with Zara, teaching her about standing up for herself and the importance of her dreams. He gave her his personal phone number, telling her to call if anyone ever treated her poorly again. The story sparked a nationwide conversation about protecting children and using privilege responsibly, news outlets reported. Zara Johnson became a symbol of young entrepreneurship, while Pam Bondi faced widespread criticism for her behavior. Jaylen Brown's simple act of protection reminded the world that true leadership means standing up for those who can't defend themselves, especially when they're just 8 years old and trying to make the world a better place, one cookie at a time. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to remember that protecting children should always be our priority. In the comments below, tell us about a time when someone stood up for you when you needed it most.